my ops didn't envy me. Passing it off like CP3. Shawty, she calling me MVP. I be on time, it's something you ain't never seen before. They call me the Dama, really want my whole team to score. Damn, yeah, too icy, yeah, too clean, yeah, my zone, yeah, 2-3, yeah, got shooters that hit from deep, bust like Giannis, yeah, too mean. Bright lights like we at the garden, on P, don't get me started. Whole team walk through me to party. If I can't make the play, I'ma lob it. If you jump, that's right on your head. Had to put him to sleep, go to bed. I'm a star, drop 50 and left. From the logo, like I'm Steph. Put it up, knock him down every time. Going hard like my life on the line. Catch me on the coast, I would've dime. Never losing, I put it on mine. Had to get off my shit, I've been laying low. They get real when it comes to the playoffs. You fight with me, you know it's a KO.
Ladies and gentlemen, from La Casa de los Lobos, the pit, here at the University of New Mexico, let's get ready to rumble!
I believe that's the last triple hey of the new year. And to quote my man Peter Venkman in Ghostbusters 2,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Action-packed show for you today. Action Jackson. 4:30, Ned James, Monday afternoon quarterbacking. Let me put it that way. And then 5 o'clock, Ben Wysong, and then our special guest, Luke Weong, former UNM football wide receiver. And I don't even think I introduced myself. My name's Ryan Tamori. Welcome to the Pit Press Live. Wanted to get that out of the way fast. And before I get to my panel of usual suspects, want to thank the sponsors that make this show possible. Dulce River Bakery and Coffee, Affordable Solar, Turquoise Desert Tap Room, Hydro Bar, and Affordable Service Heating, Plumbing, and Air Conditioning for HVAC needs in Albuquerque and the Rio Rancho area. Affordable Service has been in business in New Mexico since 1986, and it is still locally owned. During that time, they've served more than 40,000 customers, providing complete residential and light commercial HVAC services, including heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Affordable Service takes pride in its staff and its commitment to the Albuquerque and Rio Rancho area. I want to bring in the panel, the usual suspects. The gang, as I say, has been a Lobo fan since 1970. And the voice of the Western New Mexico Mustangs. His name is Mr. Ed Nunez. Ed, how you doing?
Doing good, Ryan. Yeah, a lot of to talk about. I know Rick and my son and Eric did a great podcast last night. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I plan on doing that later. So I did get a chance to go back and watch New Mexico's win over Colorado State. So, yeah, it was a good win, solid win. Nothing spectacular, just solid. And I think New Mexico will take that.
I'll get Rick's thoughts here in a second, and I'll let him plug the podcast, but everybody knows him as a two-time offensive state lineman for San Juan Mendoza, and all the way from the Bay Area, which don't play, Mr. Richard Thompson.
Richard.
Rick, how you doing?
Gentlemen, fans of the show, I'm doing well. My arm is just really sore. I did some hardcore bowling yesterday, and
I heard that.
as you get older, when you don't do certain movements, once you do those, they really hurt your body the next day, I'm finding out. So I'm doing well. Exciting weekend around the Mountain West. Ready to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game. I was at the New Mexico Bowl. I caught some of it in the press box as I was chit-chatting with Ken Sickinger of the Journal. He pinched hit for Sean Redder, who wasn't there. Away at Michigan for the holidays. Again, 4:30, Ned James. Happy to have him join us. We'll talk about some of the UNM recruits, what I know, what we know, or some of the guys that transferred in. Lobos beat CSU 76-68, which again, I looked at the stat sheet, was pretty convincing. Get your thoughts on that. And then talk a little bit of CFP and NFL with Ned James. But at 5 o'clock, Ben Wysong played at UNM from 2003 to 2006 and is the nephew of Luke Weong. Luke will join us, talk to him about this past football season, his decision to transfer over to University of Arizona. So looking forward to that conversation, Ed. I'm sure you're looking forward to that. Before we go ahead, I got to do the talking expletive on Twitter. Somebody commented how I host the show. He's also just not good at what he does. He constantly rabbles on about random topics, and it seems like he's a third grade reading. I can't even read this correctly. Like he's a third grade reading level anytime he reads a comment. And I think I butchered that Twitter post. I only cut this to play this clip from The Simpsons, because if you watch the show, you know how much I love The Simpsons.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
All right. So thank you to Poa at Twin4967 for listening. Ed, I'm going to go straight to you on this one. I wanted your thoughts on the CSU, the big win at Fort Collins, CSU, UNM's win, 76-68. Been a long day. I apologize. Ed, I wanted your thoughts.
CSU didn't score till 13 points, in the first half. They had a hard time scoring, shooting late in the clock. That's partly due to New Mexico's defense. Not having Isaiah Stevens, he's graduated and moved on, a guy that can create space, make shots, drive to the rim. I thought New Mexico's defense was pretty solid. New Mexico went on that 21-0 run, and I watched very intently to see, because I already knew what had happened, how CSU's offense was operating during that run. And New Mexico did again. They did a great job in making them take late shots in the clock, one shot and out. And some of the shots CSU had at the rim, New Mexico missed a lot of layups against New Mexico State. CSU missed some shots at the rim as well, off balance, trying to head fake, just not going up and going up strong. And I thought New Mexico's defense during that 21-0 run was very good. Amzil, 14 points. Donovan Dent, 14 and 6 assists. Richard Pitino said in the paper that he felt like Donovan Dent tried to drive the ball a little too much and should have kicked it out more to the three-point shooters. It wasn't a great performance by Dent, but good enough. But I think the guy that Jeff Grammer talked about in the paper today was Borovichinen. He had his best game, 10 points and 4 rebounds, 10 points all in the first half. Now, we talked about this earlier in the year, and he wasn't very confident at first. A lot was expected of him. They put him in the starting lineup right away, and there were some games he'd get the ball and looked like he indecisive, was playing without confidence and looking at the bench, and he admitted it, waiting to make a mistake, and they pull him out, and that's what happened a lot of times. He wasn't playing his game. Now, you saw on Saturday a more confident Borovichinen, and a guy whose skill set is starting to match what everybody said with the style of play New Mexico has. They raved about him in practice, the way he can pass the ball and distribute, and he's got high basketball IQ. So that's a big plus for UNM if he can continue to play like that, and his ceiling is even higher. They had brought him here for that. He hadn't played much at Arizona, and so they threw him in the starting lineup and expected a lot, but I think that's a huge thing for UNM going forward. CJ Nolan, 11 points off of the bench. Applehans, he had 3. So Dotson, I thought this was important Dotson had 6 points in 4 minutes. Levitt had 5. So I thought they gave UNM an answer when they needed one. That's 11 points between both of them, and that's not huge. They're both freshmen. But I thought Dotson hit a couple of shots where CSU was kind of threatening to come back, and Dotson, hit a shot. Again, 4 points in 6 minutes. I thought those were key. So I thought it was a good conference win. Nothing spectacular, but they had lost the last 6 games at Moby, so they broke that streak there. And anytime you win on the road in this conference, it's good. They're 2-0 now. So I was pretty happy with what they did after I went back and watched it yesterday. I thought it was a pretty solid win.
Rick, I'll let you give your thoughts and then plug the podcast because I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad you guys are doing that. It's a different perspective. And for those people that hate me, don't have to listen to me on that show. I didn't watch the game. Like I said, I caught 5 minutes of it. I mean, 41-25 and a 21-0 run. That's pretty impressive. Amzil and Dent with 14 apiece and Nelly Jr. Joseph with 11 rebounds. It seems kind of like the usual suspects. I mean, it's a good win. I don't want to sound like a broken record or repeat myself, but Moby is, or repeat anybody, but Moby is not an easy place to win. So that's pretty impressive. I would think the biggest thing from the weekend, though, probably from the Mountain West Conference, if you hadn't seen it, was definitely Utah. San Diego State shit in the bed there and blowing that lead. I think that's rather impressive. So that at 12-1, Jared Calhoun's done a good job. Youngstown State scored a lot of points. If you go back and watch, Jacob Neff and I talked to Coach Calhoun, Jared Calhoun from USU, back at Mountain West Conference Media Days. I don't know. He was a pleasure to talk to, and he understand that we mentioned it, but he loved the fact that the two of us had bet over as he asked us about it. But Rick, to plug the podcast and just your thoughts real quick on the basketball game and the win over CSU.
Right. Eric and Nick and I broke it down last night, put it out this morning. Also took a look at the other Mountain West games that went on a little more in depth. But let's talk about the Colorado State game. Talking about Moby, there was only about 4,700 people there, and that could be a hard environment to play in just because the energy is low. The Lobos came in having 5 days off before having to practice on Christmas afternoon. That's asking a lot of these guys, but they responded. And what really carried over from that VCU game was their defense and their defensive disruptiveness. And you could see Colorado State was never really comfortable out there. Neat Clifford did have 17 points, but it took him 17 shots to get there. Jalen Lake, I think, finished 1 of 7 from three-point land. Kyan Evans had a tough time. True Washington, his defense was effective out there, even though he didn't have a good offensive game in about 20 minutes, but his defensive effort was still there. Borovichinen, 4 steals. I think he first half, he really matched up well with Clifford. Clifford had about 8 at halftime, but I think just the length of Borovichinen, his foot speed has seemed to improve, and his positioning, knowing where to be. And the help side defense was good by the whole team. And the 17 turnovers, right? That really paces the Lobos, one of the fastest teams in the country. And when you're giving them the ball that many times, Lobos had 10 steals. It's really hard to slow them down, but you have to credit Colorado State for battling back and really making this only an 8-point game. Really great defense on Donovan Dent, like Ed was mentioning. They did the exact opposite of what VCU did, where VCU was kind of sagging back on the screen and allowing Dent to get that head of steam. Instead, Colorado State was hedging out hard, closing off passing lanes. And Coach Patino did allude to that after the game, how it did take Dent some time to adjust, still finished with 6 assists. And I think we just have to appreciate Dent more than we already do. He's the leading scorer in the conference right now, and also the leading assist man. So looking like the player of the year that we hoped for so far. But the bench scoring really is what was the difference in this game. Nolan, Dotson, everyone had a hand. Every player that touched the court scored, even Atiki got one. And when you bring in this bench unit, they really are able to play a different type of basketball than the starters and stretch the floor. And you see these 2 freshmen, they're not afraid to let it fly as soon as they catch it. Very promising. And a big road win for the Lobos as they head to Fresno, a place I don't think they've won in maybe the last 7 or 8 trips.
Well, they hadn't won, as Ed mentioned, they hadn't won at Moby since the 2017-2018 season, and that did snap a 6-game losing streak there. Obviously, if you remember 2 years ago, they were ranked for the first time in God knows how long. They went to Fresno and they lost in the first conference game of the year. So it wasn't good for us UNLV bettors on Saturday night. They were 15.5-point favorites over Fresno, and Fresno stormed back and covered. I know the transfer that had scored 30 points to start the season has left Fresno. It didn't seem like a good destination after the coach had been fired last year, and his name is escaping me. But
that was Amar Aguilar, the player that left. He was the JUCO Player of the Year last year, averaging 13 points so far in an up and down season. Was just not on the same page with the team and the coach, and they decided to part ways. He was averaging 13 points a game this season, so I don't even know if he'll have eligibility going forward, but a big loss for them.
Vance Wahlberg is the head coach there. He took over this year. Guy's name's escaping me. I can see his face. They got fired last year. But I don't know. Vance Wahlberg has NBA coaching experience. You think that that would be pretty impressive? It's pretty impressive on your resume, but I don't know. Save Mart Center is a hard place to win. You can go back to Tarkanian when he took over there. I don't know. I don't know. This UNM team's, you just went on the road and won in Moby. I think any of these places in the Mountain West is pretty hard to win. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. You get a New Year's Eve game tomorrow night, 6:00. It's on the Mountain West Network. You can also listen on the Lobo Radio Network. Ed, I'm going to go to the comments real quick. Ed, how is Western New Mexico basketball looking?
Not right now, not very good. Western New Mexico women got a new coach in July. Josh Pace went to go be an assistant at a Division I school. So new coach, she's playing with her, with the team that's not people she recruited. Western New Mexico lost 4 players, so we're still looking for our first win there. Western New Mexico men 2-9. We've lost 4 players. That injury bugs really caught us there. Their 4 players are out for the season. So, and they were starters. At least 3 of them were starters. And then one guy came in hurt, and he's still hurt. So, they're still plodding away, man. And they've got 2 games this weekend. Actually, my son's going to go down there and do the series. I've got to be here in Albuquerque for a funeral. So it's actually my son's first chance to do some college ball, and I'm very proud of him. And I think he's going to do a great job out there. So Western New Mexico is still plodding along, man. And, hopefully they've got some wins down the way. It's been a tough season so far for both men and women.
Appreciate that. Justin Hudson was the guy who got fired. I could see his face. I couldn't think of his name. Who remembers K-Dub? Kendall Williams putting up 46 in Moby. He was on fire that game. Yeah, 10 of 11 from 3. That was a phenomenal game. We've offered to get him on the show. Need to probably try that again. Again, coming up at 4:30, Ned James, former quarterback, University of New Mexico, on the Lobo Radio Network. He does pregame, halftime, and postgame with JJ Buck for UNM football. Looking forward to that. And then 5:00, Ben Wysong, as always, and then Luke Weong, former UNM football wide receiver, will be joining us. I'm excited to have that conversation. Speaking of football, and let me do this. I love it. As I've said, I need to use those more. Quite a bit over Christmas. Some transfers coming in for UNM football and head coach Jason Eck. I guess the most notable would be also here Keegan Johnson, wide receiver, 37 games, 773 receptions, 949 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's transferring in from K-State. And then the quarterback, Jack Lane at Idaho, has had some pretty impressive stats. 23 touchdowns, 2,165 yards on the season. Those are good numbers. Helped Idaho get to the quarterfinals I had somebody text me and said he doesn't understand why these guys are coming here and that they're gonna still UNM should drop to the FCS level. I don't know. These are guys have proven, and I always think of a prime example of Rome Odunze, the Bear wide receiver for Chicago Bears. He was a D2 transfer to Washington, and look what he did last year with Michael Penix. I don't know that it can be done. Rick, I'll start with you. You were kind of monitoring this over the holiday. I don't know. What are your thoughts on these incoming players? I would say he's the most notable.
Yeah, there's been a good haul. One thing about all these transfers from Idaho, you have to remember, they were in a one-score game with Oregon in the second half of a game. I think they only lost by 10 or 14 points to Oregon.
24-14.
So let's not talk about a big talent gap between FCS and D1 anymore, because it's not there. And we see that with Montana State. They could have beat a ton of Mountain West schools this year. And, obviously they beat the Lobos. So I'm excited to get these young men. It's heartbreaking for the Idaho fans. I've kind of seen them starting to lose it a little bit. And I have finally seen some hatred towards Coach Eck for them stealing all their players, but that's the world we live in. I'm most excited about DB Abraham Williams, who's also a two-time All-American kick returner who played at Weber State. Right now he's the current active leader in kick return average and kick return touchdowns. That should be a weapon. And then two freshmen I'm excited about. Wide receiver DB Ziel Smith from Portland, Oregon, was all-state wide receiver and safety. Do we have another Travis Hunter coming into Albuquerque? We shall see. Impressive quarterback out here in the Bay Area from Concord, from De La Salle High School. Tua Fave, three-star dual-threat quarterback. I believe he ran for 17 touchdowns. And he's playing against some of the best schools. They lost the state championship to Modern Day, I believe. But, I mean, he was on the 22nd ranked school in the entire country. So that is a high-level freshman that we're getting in to add to the quarterback room. O-lineman also from Idaho, Caden Robert, was added, and we've also retained some O-linemen. And I don't know if you mentioned the coach's son, Jackson Eck, will also be joining the squad. But Ed, any of those positions or names stick out to you?
I thought the quarterback, Jack Lane, the guy that you mentioned, and then the one you mentioned from the Bay Area, also a good track star too. I saw a little bit of film on him. And somebody asked, can he pass? Because we saw him running. And someone said on Twitter, can he pass? And right away they showed his passing skills. So I was excited about him. I thought they got a running back too. I could have sworn they got a running back. So I think the linemen that they retain here, the offensive linemen, the two that are staying, is big. I think that's huge. So I just, thinking about what he's got coming in and what I've seen so far, I'm excited. The Lane, the quarterback, had some success there at Idaho before he got hurt. Then he got hurt. But he did put up some pretty good numbers. I mean, one of the other things too, Ryan, about the FCS thing, they're not going FCS. Somebody wrote a sports, something in opinion journal, in the journal. It's not even a sports speak up. And, why did they drop skiing and why did they drop men's soccer, or they should drop football? They're not going to drop football. They're not going to bring back skiing or soccer. They're not. Football brings in a lot of money from the Mountain West, and that's the bottom line. They're not going to FCS. They're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. I don't see that happening for a while. So anyway, I thought I'd sidetrack with that. But Rick, I think those kind of recruits that I've seen coming in give me a lot of excitement, because the quarterback Lane played with Coach Eck at Idaho, and then so did his son Jackson, was an all-conference performer. I told Ryan this on Saturday. I'm on the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame board, and Michael Sinclair, he played in the NFL. He's a member of our class this year, and I got to talk to him just for about 5 minutes. Really good guy, and you should see him, man. Dude is still in shape. That guy's still in real good shape. He mentioned Jason Eck. I guess they used to coach against each other back in the day, and he said, you guys got a good one here. You're going to have a squad of do-gooders, is what he said. So that was just a brief conversation with the guy that's played the NFL and knows Coach Eck. I think there's been a lot of people saying great things about him. So I'm excited every day that I read something new about who's coming in here. And then again, he had mentioned his scheme and the way he wants to play. A lot of motion, a lot of a lot of movement with his offense. So I'm looking forward to seeing who else he's bringing in. I think his first haul is pretty good so far.
And his son had 134 tackles last year and an interception. And the running back, his teammate for the Vandals as a freshman last year, Deshaun Buchanan, had 5 touchdowns, 567 yards in only 9 games for 7.2 yards a carry. So that guy sounds like he may be the starting running back thus far.
2 things on the I don't know. As I've mentioned when the hire happened, I'm very happy for this hire. And I am going to be all over the place here. Yes, we're aware of the Zach Arnett news. He had been tied to UNLV. He is now the defensive coordinator there under Dan Mullins. He might be the head coach sitting and waiting there, depending on what Dan Mullins does. As far as the FCS thing goes, every year that I've been in, that I've lived in New Mexico, I've had to go to Thanksgiving dinner with almost every year with family, friends. And she married an Englishman, and this dates back like 14, 15 years under Loxley. And she would always ask me on Thanksgiving, I cannot believe UNM still has a football team. And every year I had the same conversation about how they get money from the conference. So there's that. Just to kill some time before we get to Ned James in about 5-6 minutes, Rick, you're in the area. I got to start with you on this. What are your thoughts on the Mike Brown firing? I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, Sacramento Kings head coach Mike Brown fired last week after he was forced to run a practice and do media and was heading to the airplane, was let go after the night before losing on a last-second shot where De'Aaron Fox decided not to close out or lost his man and gave up the 3. Doug Christie, former Sacramento King, former media member in Sacramento and was an assistant coach, has taken over. Will be interesting. I think Coach Brown, father of Elijah Brown, former player at UNM, I think he's a good coach. As coach with the Warriors, Cleveland, other places. I'm sure he'll get another job when he's ready. One thing, if we have time here, I wanted to touch on the other Mountain West basketball games that took place over the weekend because they were just really exciting. Mainly Utah State, San Diego State, in which the Aztecs gave up a 18-point lead and 11-point lead at the half. Tucker Anderson for the Aggies really played hero, knocking down 4 threes after shooting maybe about 20% on the season before that. He finished with 14. There was about 6.8 seconds left on the clock for the Aztecs when they inbounded the ball. They decided to go the length of the court and put up a very tough shot, I believe, by McKinney. That was contested. Coach Dutcher did say in the media after the game he wanted to call timeout. He tried to call timeout. But that just didn't happen. The refs didn't hear him. And that was a few minutes after Miles Bird got called for a blocking foul that could have either gone each way on Martinez as Martinez went in. That was really a big turning point in the game as Bird fouled out. Utah got shots at the line and went on to win the game. Mason Falsalev, player of the week in the conference. Him and Martinez are just a deadly duo on the wing right now. But like you were mentioning, Ryan, there's really no easy outs around the conference. Nevada losing again at Wyoming. And if fans of the show or you guys, if you haven't watched Obi Ogbum on Wyoming, he's the second leading scorer in the conference behind Dent. He is a special scorer. He can shoot from anywhere. He can cross over. It's a beautiful thing to watch. So check him out. But Nevada now 0-2 start in conference, really sliding. And I think next up, they will be playing Utah State on New Year's Eve. So good luck to the Wolfpack. And then just quickly, Boise State edged out San Jose State, where San Jose State had a chance at the end. Hall took it to the hoop. It looked like the ball partially got blocked by Javen Buchanan of the Broncos. The ball kind of went out of bounds, but the refs let it go, and the game ended. Degenhart had the game-winning shot, finished with 26, and he's really the one carrying the Broncos right now. But San Jose State has really played good ever since they gave the Lobos a tough game. So it's not going to be easy in San Jose to get a win. It's not going to be easy in Wyoming to get a win. So there's really no easy places to just expect to win. So Lobos have to take their workouts to Fresno.
I've been enthralled with the college football bowls. I've been watching a lot of the college football. I know it's kind of been a lot of underdogs. I watch the NFL. I haven't paid that much attention to the Mountain West college basketball realm, other unless I've watched college basketball games that I've had money on. But when I saw that score Saturday night, San Jose State was up 35, and then Tyson Degenhardt had 26 points and had a free throw with 54 seconds left. So they're 2-0 in the conference. They're probably right where they need to be. But I think it's going to be a pretty scrappy season. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. I don't know how you feel about that, Rick.
Well, I think right now it has to be Utah State, even though, you know, Aztecs gave up that win. They're going to be probably regretting that down the road with how tight things are going to be. And with every team having to play 2 times, you really can't give up any home games like that. It's all about who's going to be able to go and steal, you know, some road wins. And right now the Lobos are one up in that category, and so are the Aggies. I would rank Utah State 1, San Diego State 2. I think the Lobos for me would be 3 right now, above Boise, and then Colorado State, Nevada are probably mixed in there, even with San Jose State, Wyoming at this point. It's just a jumble after those top 4 teams in my mind.
No, that's what the way I was feeling from everything I've seen. It just feels that the middle of the pack there, it just seems pretty tight knit and a really close race. I don't know. That's the way I see it. When we come back, Mr. Ned James, former UNM football quarterback and Lobo Radio Network football analyst. We'll be right back with him. This is a Pit Press Live, and I'm Ryan Tamori.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Ryan Tamori. This is the Pit Press Live. Ed, sorry I had to redo that. My back and feet were killing me. I had like no energy to start the show. I feel really bad. All right. We'll go to a gentleman who joins us every Monday at 4:30. We really appreciate his time. He's a former quarterback for the University of New Mexico, former NFL head coach, and now he's an analyst with the Lobo Radio Network. You can catch him with JJ Buck halftime, post game during Lobo football games. His name is Mr. Ned James. Ned, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. But I wish I was a former NFL head coach. I'd be a lot richer.
Did I say head coach? I meant NFL coach. My bad.
Yeah, we know what you meant, but yeah, I wish I was a head coach. So thanks for the prop up. But
that's how much I think of you. I'm having a shitty day, and it's rolling over into the show I host.
All right.
I'm going to start here. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the NFL and the college football bowl games. I don't know. I'm not going to dive too much into that. I think the NFL is probably a little bit more pertinent until tomorrow night at 5:30 with the Fiesta Bowl. But have you learned anything about these incoming transfers over the holiday for the UNM football team? And what do you know?
No, it really doesn't matter. I mean, we got to wait and see. They may transfer again. You never know. They're coming in the portal. We could prop them up and then be like, oops, they're not here anymore. You got to get through the semester. You got to get through the spring semester. You got to get the kids through the summer. And I think once the fall camp starts, you kind of have an idea. You can get a little bit of an idea of spring ball, and then some of the fall camp, you'll be able to get a better gauge of where they're at as far as talent, coaching, all those things. Hoping there's a little bit more access to maybe we can kind of see exactly what we're going to be looking at in the fall.
Also asking you about college football. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for Jason Eck and what he's bringing. And I've mentioned that to you, but I will ask you about Cam Ward opting out at halftime of my favorite bowl game, which should be probably the national championship, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. He opted out at halftime. Have you watched any college football? And I'm just going to ask you straight how you feel about the opt-outs with the bowl games.
Yeah, the Pop-Tarts Bowl is my favorite too, because then we get fat because we're starting to eat Pop-Tarts, and we never thought about Pop-Tarts until the Pop-Tarts Bowl. But I like the strawberry with the frosting on top. So just for everybody's information. But guys opt out, for whatever reason. Financially, these guys that are making NIL deals, so if you want them to play, tie their contracts to it, tie money to it, and then you'll be able to get them to stay in the game. So I don't. Either way, it doesn't really bother me. The fact that he played the first half, to set the all-time record for touchdowns in a season by a quarterback, I think that was primarily what he did, and the coach kind of covered for him at the end by saying that it was a decision that they made, and so it's really wasn't that big a deal in my opinion. It's not that big a deal for me if the guys opt out. They're not contractually obligated to play in the bowl games. If there's some financial residuals that they get for the games, then I'm sure they would play. And there's insurance tied to it if they get hurt and that kind of stuff. I'm sure a lot of guys would play. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter played in their bowl game, even though they got smoked by BYU. I thought it was, it's just dependent on the culture of the team and the climate of the NIL deals that get these guys to play. So it doesn't really bother me too much whether guys play or not.
Speaking of Colorado, I thought they had kind of played well through the season. I don't know. They didn't show up. A lot of people think they were overhyped. There's clearly talent there, and it looks like Dion at the moment is not going anywhere. I wanted your thoughts on Colorado, and I thought BYU was a pretty good team.
Yeah, I mean, they've got money in Utah. I mean, they're paying the NIL stuff now. They've got, all sports. I mean, they're doing well, BYU, Utah, and of course we know the Utah State issue. So I think they've done a good job. BYU doesn't look like the BYU of yore. I see some tattoo guys out there, and they're not all church boys at BYU anymore. And so it's a really good team that they played against. And welcome to college football. I mean, I'm sure they thought they were going to walk out there with their 2 top draft pick guys, and they were just going to walk over BYU, and not so fast. And BYU's played well all year. They've got talent, and their head coach is a really quality football coach, and so they were, kind of blindsided, I think, Dion. I think he thought, they would come in there and, show well because he has these two top draft picks in that game, and they got smoked from the beginning. So it was a good game. I thought it was fun, entertaining. A lot of people were upset because they really were looking forward to watching Dion and Travis, the Heisman Trophy winner, in the bowl game. And it just goes to show you, some kids play in the bowl game, some kids don't. It's just like the portal stuff. These kids are coming in and out of the portal, and some of the kids are going to make it, some are not going to make it. I mean, it's just I think it's getting a little bit too much hype. The whole portal thing, and the whole, the amount of money that's being generated by, some of the top, tier guys that are playing quarterback. But there's other positions that are making money. The issue becomes, it's the free market, enterprise of America. It's capitalism, and private industry. There really is no disclosure. It depends on the states. It depends on, the rules of the states and their laws. And so, we'll know what some guys are making, and a lot of guys we won't know what they're making.
I applaud Dion for at least saying, "Hey, we're going to play in the bowl game," even though they didn't show up. Switching gears to the NFL, and I've been dying to ask you this question since the end of the fourth quarter of the Falcons and Commanders game, which is still the worst name in all of football, even though I like Jaden Daniels and I like Dan Quinn. This is more focused on Raheem Morris. How do you feel about unused timeouts? I understand maybe it's trying to be tactical and strategic, but when you see the clock ticking, I would just say, hey, you've got 2 in your pocket, call 1, save yourself some time. So Ned, your thoughts on unused timeouts?
It just depends on the strategy of the game. I mean, I understood what he was saying. He kind of owned it at the end. He wanted the guys to just keep playing. When you got rookie quarterbacks, I mean, it's a really different style of calling a game. I mean, you kind of want guys to kind of stay in a rhythm. These young guys, they don't really know the rhythms of an NFL game quite as well as you may think they do. And he played well. The young quarterback played okay, and Jaden Daniels played okay as well. But I understood what he was saying. Hindsight is 20/20. If he makes the field goal, and we're not talking about this, but the kicker misses the field goal, so now everybody's talking about the timeouts. So I mean, it's just one of those things where everybody kind of, Monday morning quarterback said, but it was just a really good pro football game. That was a really good game last night with 2 rookie people have to realize those were 2 rookie quarterbacks playing. And when you're playing with freshmen or rookies, it's the same thing. You're going to have these little wonky things that happen throughout the game. And I thought, just what Raheem, owned as far as keeping the timeouts, he just really wanted the kid to keep in the rhythm. Because you got a young quarterback, he wanted the guy to just keep playing. And in hindsight, he probably maybe should have called a timeout. But it's a tough mistake when you miss the field goal at the end. Everybody's going to call you on that and think that you should have gotten more yards. But it's 6 in one, half dozen in the other. But it could have went either way.
I've got a few more questions, and we're joined by Ned James of Lobo Radio Network and former UNM quarterback. I wanted to ask you about. Speaking of the rookie quarterbacks, I mean, I think the play has been phenomenal. You had Bo Nix on Saturday and throughout the season than what we saw last night. I was bigger on Michael Penix, Bo Nix, and I came around to Jaden Daniels. I don't think Caleb's going to pan out, but you kind of mentioned the play last night. I mean, was that as good of a rookie quarterback you've seen? Or let me backtrack. This season, has that been some of the best rookie quarterbacking you've seen this year?
Well, Penix, is a good player. I mean, they're both, high draft picks, both in the top 10. And so it's, they're still rookies though. I mean, one of the things that people are mistaken because people just love their quarterbacks. Everybody that's listening right now, they probably just turned around and kissed their quarterback poster on their wall because everybody's enamored with quarterbacks. It doesn't matter what year it is, doesn't matter what century it is. Everybody's enamored with the quarterback play, whether it's high school, college, or pro football. And so these quarterbacks, even though they're rookies, we fail to realize that, it takes a little time to develop. We're not talking about offensive guards or cornerbacks or wide receivers. The quarterbacks are the most visible. And so we tend to kind of judge them a little bit more critical. They make the most money, of course, and they're, in the spotlight. But at the same time, they have to develop. I mean, we don't know who's going to be the great. We don't know, we can't just give Jaden Daniels a gold jacket and put him in the Hall of Fame after his rookie season. You just, guys have to develop. It takes a while. It takes, you got to win some, you got to put some skins on the walls, as they say. You got to go out and win some games. You got to win some playoff games, and it's hard to win a pro NFL game. It's even harder to win a playoff game. And so we just need to give these guys a little more time, give them a couple years. Caleb, he's not done yet. I mean, he's a rookie. He had a rough year. J.J. McCarthy was hurt. Bo Nix has looked good at times. Drake May looks promising, even though their record's not showing well. And, of course, Penix and Daniels last night. That was a really good football game. It was a good football game. Try to enjoy the games and stop trying to make guys Hall of Famers in their first year. That's what people, especially these quarterbacks, you probably didn't even know the left guard was probably a rookie who probably played, every game this year and's probably done a pretty decent job and grading out. So people look at the quarterback and are a little bit more critical. They get the most money, of course, and they're probably the second worst athletes on the team next to kickers and punters. But, it's just one of those things where, they get romanticized and, you just got to give them a little time to develop. And, guys are going to, have some great games and some good years and some bad years. But, in the end, you got to test them. You got to judge them based on how many games they win in the regular season. And then when they win playoff games, that's what's going to be tough. And that's when you kind of can be a little bit more critical as they develop the next 3-4 years.
Ed, I'll throw it over to you. Any questions for Ned?
Plenty. Ned, you talk about the guys that can spin, from the quarterback position. You know a lot about that. Now, you mentioned the athletes on the quarterbacks may not be the best athletes unless you were Michael Vick or Randall Cunningham. Those guys were incredible athletes. Randall Cunningham and Vick both ran like the devil until Randall Cunningham scrambled out of the pocket, hurt his knee, never ran the same with reckless abandon ever again. And Michael Vick was an amazing athlete, one of the best athletes we saw in the NFL over the years. And, but I wanted to ask you this, Ned. We didn't talk about this, but I want to ask you about Diego Pavia and the Birmingham Bowl. Vanderbilt wins their first bowl game since 2013. Definitely Jerry Kill and having Diego Pavia over there. They have made some noise this year, and he passed for 3 and ran for 2 in the bowl game. How do you assess his performance?
Well, first thing I like to say is everybody in the state of New Mexico, when you go to Alabama, you just tell people to move out of their houses and you just move into their houses because the state of New Mexico owns the state of Alabama because Diego Pavia has beaten Auburn, Alabama at will every year. And he's owning that state, the kid from New Mexico and from Volcano Vista High School. So shout out to New Mexico and the Mexicans. And anytime you go to the state of Alabama, just tell them you're from New Mexico and tell them to move out because we own that state as far as Diego Pavia is concerned. But great game, great, Vanderbilt, he's done a heck of a job. You've got to give this young man credit. I mean, he's really kind of staked his claim in the sports world. I mean, he should be, one of the top figures at the end of the year that they say, CNN or Fox News or whatever you listen to or watch, they give out awards for people of the year. And Diego Pavia has to be in there because what he's done in college football, especially with the NIL and with this whole idea of these JUCO years not counting and getting the injunction to be able to play next year after playing 5 years in college football, to have, 6, 7, 8 years to play and make more money is unheard of. And so, you've got to tip your hat to the young man who's really kind of, revolutionized marketing and promotion and promoting himself in sport. You got to give him a lot of credit. And the Birmingham Bowl, sure, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was a big deal because he played in it. And Vanderbilt, you can say what you want. It's the Ivy League of the South, and they're not giving him enough credit. Playing at Vanderbilt is no different than Duke, and no different than Stanford, no different than Harvard and those Ivy Leagues. So, I mean, it's that kind of attention that he's garnered for that university that is really, really telling. And I think he deserves a lot of credit. And even though my alumni brothers will beat me up for championing this young man after what he did to our logo I don't excuse that in any way. I really fault the adults for not kind of getting that kind of handled a little bit better. I thought the adults around that young man should have done a little bit better job. But in the end, I do think as far as football goes, I think he deserves a lot of credit this year for putting college football on the map in a lot of different ways. and I hope we see some more of them. I mean, it's as an old man, we kind of fall into tradition, but the fact that he's gotten eligibility rules changed as a result of going to court, the Supreme Court ruling that he's got a federal injunction right now. He hasn't gone to the Supreme Court yet, but and I think the argument's going to be the Mormons. It's going to be the missions that the Mormons go on, and they're allowed extra years in college. And so that's going to be, the religious exemptions they get. I mean, that's going to be tested with this rule, with him getting these extra 2 years after playing in a junior college and not having the ability to earn through NIL. And some slick attorney came up with this idea, and it's worked.
It's worked in a big way, and the NCAA still has an appeal on the table there. So we'll see what happens. But you mentioned all the things that, when he went to New Mexico State, I don't know that we could have predicted that they beat Alabama, that Vanderbilt would get into a bowl game and win a bowl game, and that he'd throw for 3 and run for 2. I think he's done very well, and it'll be great to see him play another season. I'm kind of with you about the what he did to the logo. I'm a Lobo here, man. I didn't play for the program like you did, but I think you're right. And I remember when Coach Jerry Kill
said, the alumni guys hate me for supporting this young man. They absolutely. Plus, he played at the rival school, and they just all the guys. The guys that I know.
Oh yeah.
I'm just about young people. Those guys, they all are mad at me. All those guys are mad at me because I keep saying, "Hey, he's a young man." I give young guys a pass, but I thought the adults didn't handle it as well as they should have, and the other young man shouldn't have done it. And yeah, he's old enough to know better, but at the same time, we have to champion this kid. What this kid has done, being from the state of New Mexico, being Latino, being as prominent as he is around the world, we need to kind of put this kid's face up there as one of the stars of the country this season as far as college football is concerned. And I don't think no one's mentioned his name enough, but that's just me.
That might be fair enough. That as a Lobo fan that is not a huge fan of the Aggies, he still deserves. He's from the state. You made a good point from Volcano Vista.
Ed, don't make me say what would Jesus do.
Yeah, he went to St. Pius. So yeah, he's from here. So from that standpoint, one of our great listeners, John Romero, is a huge Aggie fan, and so yeah, we have to give him his props there. I'm not disagreeing with you there, Ned, but you got to.
Well, Romero probably hates me because I always call the Aggies our little brothers to the South. So Romero probably hates me, but he probably understands that I look out for young people, and so he probably likes the fact that I'm taking up for Pavia in this case.
Well, the alumni guys that you're on group text with, what he did to the logo, they're not going to forgive that. They may not have have a different view than you do. A couple other questions for you, Ned. Sam Darnold. Okay, you mentioned the quarterbacks, and you can't give up on him. He was at Carolina, bombed out there. He was at San Francisco, and they traded him or let him go, and now he's got
a Jet. Ed, I don't mean to interrupt you again, but he was drafted by the Jets.
Drafted by the Jets. So he's been around, and looked like he bombed out a couple places, and now Minnesota beating Green Bay last night, and they're going to be playing Detroit for the number 1 seed next week. What are your thoughts on Sam Darnold?
Boy, what a turnaround! I mean, these first-round draft picks. That's why I say you have to give these guys time. I mean, it takes time to develop. I mean, I didn't think Sam would be this good. I mean, I've got buddies who are SC guys that just absolutely swear by him. And I thought, well, okay, we'll see. He kind of floundered a little bit, but he showed some promise, and he went, a couple different places. And that's why I say you just need to be patient with these quarterbacks. It takes some time to develop. I mean, you're not just going to come into this league, with guys playing, making $4, $5, $6 million and expect to just, kind of rocket, up the charts, as far as, what you did in college. I've cut 4 Heisman Trophy winners when I was in the NFL. I mean, as long as I was there, I saw 4 Heisman Trophy winners get cut. And so it's not necessarily, the guys who you think are the greatest college football players that are going to come and shine in the NFL. It takes some development. It takes, proper coaching. It takes culture. It takes a lot of things, and it takes development. It takes time, just like everything, kids going through school. I mean, it takes some time to learn and understand and know things, and you just have to be a little bit more patient. And I think, it's paid off with him. I think he's matured. I mean, you look at Baker. Baker's matured in a couple of years. And so They were both in the same class, and it just takes some times with quarterbacks, and people get a little harder on quarterbacks, and rightfully so. They make the most money, they get the most publicity, but they get way too much credit when they win, and they get way too much blame when they lose. So I mean, it's one of those things that he's been fortunate enough to be able to stick around long enough to and be fortunate and lucky in some regards. The quarterback they drafted got hurt, and so he was thrust in that position, and they had a good team, and this is what the result is.
Okay, so a couple more questions, and then I'll turn it back over to Ryan. But you mentioned Baker Mayfield. He's playing well with Tampa Bay now. But if you remember, came into the league with Cleveland. They had Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, the running back Nick Chubb. They were loaded, and he did not play well. He did not play well the first couple of years, and then he caught on with the Rams, I think, and then he went to Tampa Bay, and he's played pretty well. So I think Cleveland, they may regret that. Deshaun Watson, they gave him that big contract. He hasn't played well. He's still got some years left on it. He got hurt this year. So I think you're right about that. And I'll say this as a Dallas Cowboy fan, people always want to get rid of Dak. And the ridiculous talk was the last 3 games that Cooper Rush was just as good, and that's ridiculous. He's a backup, will always be a backup. But I think you hear that, and you're saying you're preaching patience here. And you're right, because if anyone knows what it's like to be in the NFL, be a coach in the NFL, you've been in those locker rooms, man. You know how hard it is to win a game, period, in the NFL, and especially playoff games. So I think sometimes, look how long it took Denver to find Bo Nix. Detroit went through a lot of quarterbacks before they got Jared Goff. It's not easy. And, New York's, the Giants, my good friend Ryan Tomari's team, they're in the search for another quarterback after, Daniel Jones. Didn't make the grade. It's tough. It's hard to find those good quarterbacks. You mentioned that.
Drew Lock's the future.
Yeah. You got a high pick coming. So, you never know what's going to happen. You have to hope for that. You're a fan. You're going to stay with your team. Ned, one more question. The MVP race. You've got Josh Allen. You've got Burrows. You've got Mahomes. Saquon Barkley. You got there's Jalen Hurts. I know I'm missing somebody of prominence here. Lamar Jackson, who's won it. You got a favorite?
Well, I look at it this way. I mean, there's the top 3 guys. Okay, which one's the best athlete? 5 seconds. You get to tell me who's the best athlete. Okay, who's the best athlete, Ed?
I'd say Lamar Jackson.
Okay, and that's right. Everybody, it's subjective. The voting for MVP is totally subjective. Saquon Barkley obviously is really talented. Josh Allen's talented. Lamar Jackson, Burrow is on fire this year. All those guys. And so it's going to be tough to decide which guy deserves to win this MVP. I mean, do you do it based on numbers? You can't do it based on numbers. You can't do it based on production. But, the one thing I'm disappointed in is a guy who I really like, who I've always grown up and thought was just one of the most incredible players in the history of NFL, and that's Eric Dickerson. But I think he's a buffoon now. I think here's a guy who has a chance to show some humility in old age, and he's acting like a buffoon. And deservingly, Saquon Barkley, in my opinion, should win the MVP because of his humility, because of him showing he's displaying the epitome of class. Kind of saying, hey, he had a chance to break a record. Hey, no, let the young guys get some run. He's what us adults should be showing young people. And I'm just so disappointed in Eric Dickerson at this age and at this time in his life to not be humble enough to say, boy, it'd be great to see, someone break the record. I have had it 40 years. I like to pass the torch, but to act like a juvenile and say, no, I don't want anybody to break my record. It's my record, and I love Eric Dickerson, but I thought it was classless what he's saying and what he's done. And, it's really changed my opinion of him, even though I think he's probably one of the greatest running backs I've ever seen play. I would hope that Saquon breaks this record, but showing the humility and class, it's not that important to him as it is for Eric Dickerson's ego as an old man, as a 60-something-year-old man. That's why I say I like young people. Old people, we got a little tardish, as we get older. And these young guys, I mean, this guy is showing class, and Dickerson is showing buffoonery and showing clownish behavior in this instance. And he's spoken at the New Mexico Bowl, and I know that, and a lot of people love him, and everybody talks really grandiose about him because he's an LA guy and he's flashy and all that sort of stuff. But I'm really disappointed, but I would like to see Saquon win it. It's a subjective award. All those guys are playing well. Any one of those four guys could win it. I think Saquon, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Burrow all deserve it. But at the end of the day, I'd like to see Saquon break Dickerson's record, and I'd like to see Saquon win it just because of the class that this young man is showing.
Real quick, Ned. Now, I've got to ask you this real quick. Ryan didn't see a lot of Eric Dickerson. Probably watched him on YouTube. The guy was hit the line clean as anybody you could ever see. Straight up runner. Once he
Pony
got
Express.
Yeah, Pony Express with Craig James. A great running back. And really, Ned back in the day, the Rams didn't. They have Pat Hayden, Dieter Brock as a quarterback. Vince Ferragamo wasn't bad. I don't think Dickerson played with Ferragamo. He didn't play with him. But can you just?
No, he played with the New Mexico. He played with the New Mexico quarterback.
Oh, Everett. Okay, he played with him.
Chris Everett.
Yeah, never forget that. Can you just kind of tell us? I missed that and what Eric Dickerson has been saying, who I thought was a pretty good class
Eric
act.
Dickerson. Well, Eric Dickerson essentially just said that he didn't want Saquon Barkley to break his record, and he's kind of coming up with excuses. Hey, I played in less games, even though OJ played in less games than him when he broke OJ's record. Saquon's got less carries than he does, so it's really kind of a moot point with him arguing extra games because he's going to do it in less carries than Eric Dickerson had. And so to me, it's just disingenuous on Eric's part as an adult, as a grown grandpa man, to not say, hey, look, show some, to show a little bit of humility. I would have liked to have seen in Eric Dickerson, but for him to show this clownish and buffoonery, I'm really disappointed in him because I really loved Eric Dickerson. I thought, because I'm an LA guy, Rams fan, grew up Dickerson, thought he was just phenomenal, both college and pro. And got kind of a guy who's kept himself looking good, but I wish I could say some other things, but he just really showed his humanity when he kind of talked down about, as far as and some people thought it was, hey man, yeah, at least he's speaking his truth. His truth is he doesn't want anybody to break his record. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh man, go sit down somewhere. That's how I look at it. Just go get in your rocking chair, because these old guys think they can still do it. That's the ego and the narcissism to me that Eric Dickerson showed towards this young man who's been nothing but classy through this entire process, not just in the last couple of weeks, but from the beginning of the season on.
I got to just mention one thing. They'd said back in the day, and I don't know if you ever read this, Ned, but Gale Sayers had some animosity towards Walter Payton, and I was kind of surprised when I read that. I heard about Gale Sayers, the Kansas Comet, saw Brian's song. I don't think I read a book about Gale Sayers, but I was a little surprised about that. That there's those kind of egos that still exist. And you mentioned,
I get it with personalities. Sometimes guys don't like each other because of their personalities. I understand that, but when it's an old guy and it's a young guy, that's a little bit different. Gale Sayers and Walter probably met each other and didn't like each other from a personality standpoint. And I get that. That happens a lot. A lot of teams have those issues with former players. We have issues with former alumni that don't like each other. And we played 40 years ago, and there's still, offensive guys don't like certain defensive guys. So it's interesting how that happens. But when it comes to young people, and I think we got to, be careful when we're criticizing young people. I mean, because we got family members, we got nieces, nephews, and kids ourselves, and we don't want people to be critical of them and their development. And sometimes I get sometimes when guys are overly critical of young people, I have to kind of say, what is wrong with this old person? Why can't Eric not see? He has to always think about himself and not think about kind of the bigger picture. But that's how I look at it. That's how I see it. But with personalities of guys like like you said, Gale Sayers and Walter Payton, I can understand personality conflicts. But when guys are putting the emphasis on themselves in the time where everybody's trying to see, hey, here's this record and it's great. It's been over 40 years and we all have records. We all have done stuff that, hey, we want to see, somebody come along at some point and, challenge something that we've done that was great. So, I've had that happen before. And I'm proud to say that, Devin Dampier was a great quarterback, or Stoney Case that came after me, guys that even played with me that were better players, Terrence Mathis and those guys. You want to see guys, be celebrated. And when guys, act the way Dickerson did, when it came to this thing, I'm just a little disappointed. That's all.
Yeah, kind of surprised at that, but yeah, Ryan, that's all I have for Ned. Thanks, Ned.
Ned James, former UNM quarterback, Lobo Radio Network. You were talking about records. Once again, for those of you watching or listening, you're looking at a back-to-back Madden champion, GameStop, Coors and Paseo, 2007, 2008. I still got the bracket. I still got the brackets, and I didn't have to pay for the game those 2 years. So
hey, don't get me wrong, man. I respect guys that are gamers. A lot of guys throwing rocks at me because I was talking about these guys calling it. But the NFL game because they play Madden. But I really respect guys who play fantasy football and are gamers and stuff like that because they study the game, they study players, and that's all important. And a lot of it is correct in a lot of ways, but at the same time it's a little bit different.
Ned, happy New Year. I want to get to our next guest so at least Luke doesn't kill us because I don't want to keep him on a Monday night. But Ned James, former UNM quarterback, Lobo Radio Network. Thanks a lot, Ned. Happy New Year. I'll bug you next Monday.
Happy New Year, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. That was Ned James, former UNM quarterback. Quick break, and we'll be back with Ben Wysong and Luke Weissong. My name is Ryan Tamori. I finally got some energy. This is the Pit Press Live. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to the Pit Press Live. My name is Ryan Tamori, joined by Nunez, and we'll bring in Ben and Luke here in a second. Wysong, but I'm going to do. Ed, did you ever hear this song? It was like in the late '80s when they started playing, like after the Super Bowl Shuffle. Ram it.
You know what? I never did, and I'm surprised because the Super Bowl Shuffle was. I never heard this one. That's crazy. Never.
Well, Jackie Slater starts rapping, and you can take whatever sexual innuendo you want, but I don't know. I was born in this.
Cromwell. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I'm ashamed that I was born in this decade.
I don't know if you saw the 30 for 30. There's Dickerson.
Yep. Yeah.
The New York Sack Exchange. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
But this is mentioning Jackie Slater because when Gastineau did that dance, the sack dance, Slater went after him, man, and the whole Ram team went after him. And Gastineau's he's obviously taken too many hits to his head because he said, nobody helped me. And then you see a bunch of Jet players trying to help him. He was not a popular teammate. He was not. You probably heard, you saw it, I'm sure, when he went up to Brett Favre and said, "You cost me my sack, dude." And Favre's like, "Get away, dude." And they're like, "Brett, we got to leave," because the dude is like, "You hurt me." It's like he's going to get a sack back, 27 years later. Right.
It was so awkward. And, even the Giants fan in me, he just kind of, I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. I remember seeing that live 20 some years ago. I don't want to make I had to play the terrible 80 song. I'm sorry that I had to make our next guest wait. And I'll start with one of the usual suspects that joins us here. Played linebacker, Lobo back 2002 to 2006. Did I have it right, Ben? You're on mute.
Yeah, I was close enough. 03 to 06.
Oh, I'm sorry. God, I'm having
Yeah,
a day.
I was way off.
Samsonite, I was way off. All right.
Samsonite.
And I don't want to make your nephew anyway. And I'm glad, I have a kid. So now that he turns 7, when I do stuff, he starts to like slap his head. So I embarrass him. So I'm probably going to embarrass your nephew, but I'm going to give him the proper introduction here. And it was a pleasure watching him all year. He earned All Mountain West honor for 3rd straight year, but was named to the 2nd team All Mountain West Conference on offense as a wide receiver for the first time. That's a huge accolade. He led UNM in receptions with 69. There you go. Where's my I can't find it. Where I had Beavis and Butthead laughing and I lost it. 69 receptions. I killed that joke. This is why I'm not a stand-up comedian. For 840 yards, the most receptions at UNM since 2007. 2 very good guys that year, and had the most yards at UNM since 2011. And he averaged over 6 yards a reception, only behind Nick Nash at San Jose State in the Mountain West. Luke, I'm sorry I butchered that introduction, but I want to wish you a happy holidays and a happy new year. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, for sure. Just really grateful to be on here and yeah, happy holidays as well.
Appreciate it. And I'll try not to have your uncle embarrass you too much. And I told your uncle he could chime in with, I told him he could chime in at any time with questions, but I will start here. You had a very good year at UNM, and I don't think, given what the transfer portal is, anybody is upset. My personal opinion is I'm not a scout, but I think the year you've had and to go to U of A, I think you're putting probably yourself in a prime position to maybe get NFL teams looked at you and get drafted. I wanted to know what your thought process was. I know you have a girlfriend there, but your thought process to transferring to U of A and going to Tucson.
Yeah, sure. So really throughout my entire football career, I've really loved and enjoyed playing at UNM, being able to be here and play in front of my hometown, family, friends, crowd, people like the same people that have been supporting me my entire career. I was able to play for them, and that was something that has always meant so much to me. But I felt that at this time, that after having the season that I did have, and I just graduated, and I felt that this would be the right time for me to go somewhere else and really just explore avenues and wanting to play on a bigger stage against better opponents to also, like you said, better my chances to get to the league and get drafted, because that's one of my ultimate goals. So I just felt like at this point that was my best opportunity for my football future.
I'm going to throw it over to one of my co-hosts here, Ed Nunez.
How you doing, Luke? Good to see you, man. The numbers were there offensively here at UNM this season. We hadn't seen these kind of offensive numbers in quite some time. How did offensive coordinator Jason Beck put you and the rest of the offense in the best positions to succeed this season? How did he do that?
Yeah, for sure. I think that Coach Beck did a great job, and it really all started in spring ball whenever we were really able to see what everyone could do, and then it continued through the summer and through fall camp. And whenever I would talk to Coach Simon about this stuff, we would also talk about hopefully the games look like practice. And for those of you that have never seen a practice, the games for the offense and stuff like that is exactly how practice looked every day. Big shots down the field, plays being made everywhere. That's how it was all fall camp, all spring. So it was really nothing new to us. It may have been a shock to other people, but we had been seeing that all year long. And I think just being able to have Coach Beck, and one thing that he was always saying was the things that people are good at make them great at. So I think he was really able to maximize all of those efforts and just put people in positions to make the best plays possible.
Personnel was there real quick before I send it back to Ryan. The personnel, receiver with you and Ryan Davis, Nick Trujillo, Milford, you guys had, and then the running backs. Well, you got Jacobs and Sanders, and then the offensive line, which probably performed much better than anybody could have thought. They didn't allow a sack, or what did they allow? 3-4 sacks all season long. Run block very well, and then you've got Devin Dampier, who's very elusive in the backfield there. So we hadn't seen an offense operate on this kind of plateau in a long time. So great job there. Go ahead, Ryan.
I'm going to bring up, because I asked your uncle after the Arizona game, which you had. You made a couple great plays. I think one where you went up near the end zone, but you had 8 receptions for 129 yards and a touchdown. But probably at least my favorite moment, because my terrible sense of humor, Sicario Davis, you kind of got in his head. And I think he got if I remember correctly, I'm getting old. I can't remember what I did 5 minutes ago, but I think he got flagged for unsportsmanlike. Again, the floor is yours to say what you want or what you don't want, but you got in his head. What did you say, or what did he say to you? And again, kudos, man. It was an awesome game.
Yeah. Thank you, first off. But I think that that was just like the usual, like, football trash talk back and forth. Him and a bunch of guys on their defense were talking to all of us. So I mean, like football trash talk, we just go back and forth and this and that. So I mean, yeah, some like stuff was said, and yeah, I think he did end up getting an unsportsmanlike conduct, but yeah, it's just like the usual football trash talk. It's been there my whole life, so I mean, I'm kind of used to it.
I don't take trash talk well on Twitter, so there you go. I don't know if I could. I mean, my buddies played at Pius, but in that same game, Teteroa McMillan is like a top 10, 15 draft pick, and you essentially were going toe to toe with him. Did you? I don't know. Did you kind of look at his game and you stepped up your game? I don't know what I'm asking, because he just dominated that game offensively. But I mean, it was you and him back and forth. Was that pretty cool to be on that stage on ESPN this year?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that that's something that I've always wanted, was to be on that stage every week. And I think that with this opportunity now, I'll be able to have that. And yeah, it was cool to go really like head to head with him and stuff like that. I mean, he was making some insane plays, had such an amazing game. And I just think that his playmaking ability, just kind of pushed me as well too. And I think the bright lights, the big stadium, all the stuff like that, I've really just kind of always like looked forward to and like loved ever since I was like a little kid. So I think that getting that opportunity really just allowed me to like maximize my my playing ability.
It was a fun game to watch. I'm going to ask I'll ask 2 more questions, then I'm going to throw it over to your uncle to see what he's got to say or got to ask. The punt return against Air Force. I think for a lot of Lobo fans, and returning from an injury, to see you do that for the first time since Maine, what was going through your head? And when you return a punt, are you kind of like, shit, here we go, I got this? But how did that feel against Air Force?
Yeah, that felt great. I mean, that was actually my first punt return of the whole season. I hadn't been back there until then, so it was great. And yeah, really, like punt return like a love-hate relationship. It's definitely like the most nerve-wracking thing ever, because like everything's on you, and if you mess up, you could literally lose the game, and it's totally your fault. But at the same time, that pressure is like a gift, and like not very many people get to like be in that situation. So I love punt return, and I think that just being able to be back there, like you could be free and I could just kind of like be myself back there. So, but yeah, that one was a great one. I was very grateful that to just be able to be back there and just to showcase what happened.
have to ask you about your quarterback, Devin Dampier. Phenomenal year, and I'm going back to the Arizona game when he kind of pulled the fake MJ toss. That was awesome. I was in New York, New Jersey for the Washington State game. I fell asleep. When you guys were down, and I woke up and was like, "Holy hell!" So I didn't really do my due justice as a UNM alumni, but you caught passes from Devin. It's an open-ended question. What kind of quarterback, what kind of player is he? And did Utah get a really special player?
Yeah, for sure. I think Utah got one of the best players that they could possibly get. Devin, he's a great person. Like I joked, I made fun of him all year. He's like a really comical guy, but whenever things got serious, he was a very, very serious person. Takes football very seriously. And he's a tremendous football player, as you guys have all seen. I think being able to make some of the plays that he's made consistently all year really like shows like diligence to like the type of football player that he is, and just being able to have that pocket awareness, but be able to scramble, know when to pass the ball off, who to get it to, read coverages. I mean, there's so many options between each of our routes that just based off of coverages. So being able to know like 20 different options for all of us receivers combined at once and really know what we're going to be and like at what point and at what time, it really just shows to what kind of intelligence he has as a football player.
And I'm going to throw it over to your uncle now. The floor is yours, Ben.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just, just everything that we've talked about. It was, just awesome just seeing these guys play this year and just, from the offensive standpoint, seeing the year that these guys had. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what he can do, with his new adventure out in Arizona. And, you got one more year to, take advantage of it and see how that all plays out. So, yeah, it's been great.
Throw it back to Ed.
A couple of questions for you. One's not that I just thought of. In the opening game against Montana State, you dropped, 3 passes, right? You dropped 3. But I wanted to know, I told your uncle that you're the kind of competitor that was going to happen again. Talk about your approach after that, because any competitor and you're all Mountain West. That's how old I am. All Mountain West selection is wide receiver. Any competitor, those things happen. You play it back in your mind over and over and over. Any competitor does that. Talk about your approach after that first game, watching the film and going through the jugs machine, taking the extra passes. What'd you do after that?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely always think about those, and I take it to heart because I'm a competitor, and like this is what I put my whole entire like life's work towards. But at the same time, I'm just human, and like I'm gonna make mistakes. So I really just think acknowledging the mistakes while watching them back, seeing what I could have done better, where I went wrong, and really just learning from that and applying it has been something that I've really been able to learn how to do. And yeah, I really just think that just applying like those like teaching moments and stuff like that to my game has allowed me to learn and grow from those. Because yeah, they do suck, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna give myself some grace because I know like how hard I work, and whenever that time comes, the next time, I've learned from the past, and I'll put myself in a better situation to make that play the next time.
Yeah, absolutely did. We knew that was going to happen. Coach Mendenhall here 1 year and is gone. And I'm not going to lie, there's some people that are pretty upset about that. But as a football coach, what did he came in here with? Winning a winner at BYU, a winner at Virginia. He came in here and had the Lobos on the cusp of a bowl game. Win that game against Montana State and Wyoming, you're probably in a bowl game for sure. What did you learn from him? I mean, again, there's some people upset that he left after a year. I'm one of them, not going to lie. But as a football coach, what did you learn from him?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have seen the fair share of everyone upset and stuff like that, and I completely understand. But as a person and like the type of coach that he was. There's so much behind those press conferences that he had, and like you guys seeing him on interviews, on TV and stuff like that nobody like ever saw. He was the most outstanding leader that I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never met someone like him, with his knowledge and sense of awareness of what kids really need at this age to be successful. There's so many distractions within college and college football, and through your years of 18 to 22, 23, there's so much distraction, but being able to have a group of kids really buy into something that they've been through so much together through, I think really shows a lot about his personality. And yeah, he did make a decision to leave. But regardless of that, I think that he is an amazing person. Everything that he's taught me, I literally have notebooks, like full pages, like every single page filled out of just stuff that he would say every day in our team meetings. And I obtained so much knowledge from him and stuff that I could apply to my daily life, to my future family and kids. And I'm forever grateful for him and the relationship that me and him had.
Okay, well, you know what? That's fair enough, because I think a lot of people didn't know that. At the press conferences, he's boom. Ask a question, he'll answer that question. That's it. That's it. You know, he's not going to make friends with anyone in the media. I understand that. But behind, you're saying in practice and all the things, you know, football related, that he was he knew a lot. You took notes. You're going to learn from him. You already did. So I think that's fair enough. And, you know, however I may feel now, it doesn't matter. You're saying he was a good football coach and a good leader.
Yeah. And I think it was even more than just him, like, being a football coach. I think him being a mentor and the type of person that he was like truly like outstanding. And I really wish that maybe like someone had recorded a team meeting here or there, just to like, so like people could hear it and really understand, to know like the type of person that he was, because he was an amazing person, an amazing leader, and he really has this wisdom about him that is truly inspiring, and I've never seen anything even close to that in my entire life. So I was really grateful for everything from him.
You know what, Luke? That's fair enough, man. I think that's fair enough. You know, no matter how I may feel personally, you were coached by him in football. That's what he does. You don't win the games at BYU and Virginia that he did. If he, you know, even as a defensive coordinator here many years ago, we had some players on that swore by him, said they'd run through the wall for him, and that's the kind of guy you're describing. So whatever he did with the press, he did. You know, but behind in the locker room, you're saying he was an outstanding coach and an outstanding leader and an outstanding mentor. That's fair enough.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to ask you this: who do you think you implement your game off currently in the NFL?
Yeah. So I watch a lot of Tank Dell and Zay Flowers cut-ups. I've been watching those for like years now, and I think being able to model my game around them, because those are people that I aspire to be like. I've really tried to watch every little detail, and I'm like a super mega receiver nerd about like everything, like all like the leverages, like releases, everything. I'm like a total geek about that. So I've just really studied them for so long. And then I really like to watch Cooper Kupp, Puka, Justin Jefferson, I think is the most unique out of all of them. So really just try to take stuff from all of them, really was like my best asset.
I like that answer. I don't know why I was thinking about tonight's game with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to go to my buddy Rick, our friend Rick. I've known him forever. Two-time offensive state lineman for San Juan Mendoza and the St. Pius Spartans. I got to throw that in there. That way, at least somebody knows football. I like the history of losing money on the NFL and college football. But he says, "Thank you for your service, Luke. We will miss you and wish you the best. What can we expect from your brother Evan?"
Yeah, for sure. Evan is an outstanding football player. You guys at this level have not been able to see it yet, but Evan is someone who I personally think is more athletically gifted than myself. And I think that he needs an opportunity and a chance to really show what he could do, because I really think he could absolutely light this conference up. And I think he could take UNM to a place that that everyone's been wanting to be for a while. He is a very smart football player. Like Devin, he played quarterback in high school, so he understands defenses at a very high level. And I think with the quickness and agility that he has, I think he has a very high potential. And I'm actively working with him every day to try to get him there, teach him and give him every ounce of knowledge and thing that I've learned from my game, just to try to help him out, just to be the best possible player that he could be. And I just want to see success for him.
I think everybody likes that answer. It's a great answer. Obviously you're leaving. We've hit on that. What have you made about the hiring of Coach Jason Eck? Have you had a conversation with him, and do you like the hire? Just curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I haven't had any interaction with him or any of the new staff. But from what I've heard from Evan, they seem like very down to earth people. And Evan's really enjoyed it so much so far. So I think being able to hear from Evan and what he's had to say, and even about like the transfer kids that they're getting from Idaho, that he's enjoyed it. Love talking to them. Those kids are down to earth kids, humble, just wanting to work. So I'm excited, and just because I left doesn't mean that like I'm not rooting for UNM. Like, I'm a Lobo for life, so I'm trying to see them go to great places. I want them to be successful, and everyone just to have an enjoyable experience and just to thrive here, honestly.
I know it's 50-50 comments online. I definitely wanted to read a few here. Luke, we're collectively pitching a lifetime supply of food from El Paisa and Dunker. I guess it's me in a head in a toilet. That's what people think of me. In a toilet, if you stay one more year, best of luck in Arizona. And then I wanted to go this because he's joined the show. Ian Clark, former safety punt returner. Good luck, Luke. Best of wishes in your future. And then John Romero, who's an Aggie. Proud of you, Luke. Wish you the greatest on your football journey. Always will pull for you and root for you. And then this one that we just got from your favorite uncle, who is faster, Daniel. You or Evan? That one's for you to answer.
Who's faster, Luke?
Okay, so I'm gonna explain. So for the
Here we go.
For the 100 meter, I have a faster time. I ran a 10.55. He ran a 10.7. For the 200 meter, he has ran a faster time than me for the 200. I have a faster 4, and he has a longer long jump by half an inch. So we're pretty 2 and 2. So
wow, is it really only half an inch?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so basically the same.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know what your guys' 40s are right now.
Yeah.
Maybe not during the break right now, but maybe like mid spring ball.
I don't want to know. I mean, I could barely get out of bed in the morning, so that's
I
wouldn't want my niece. I had to sit down to do the show. I like to stand up to have energy, and I was standing. I was like, "Why? What am I doing right now?" Anyway, Luke. Yep. Lastly, from me, not that it matters. When the updates came, I loved college. I loved NCAA football when it was around, and I may have told, if you remember, I may have told you that in Vegas when Ed and I interviewed you. But man, when those updates hit on EA College Football 25, and the numbers were different, and everybody was update. By God, and I play on the hardest level. I was killing people with you and Eli and Nick and Bruckler on college football, and I loved it. And Devin was so much fun to play with. So not that matters from this old guy like me. It had been a long time since I enjoyed playing with a Lobo team on EA College Football, so I appreciate it. And I think 1 year before I left as the head coach, I did it in Dynasty. I took a job at like Penn State or something, because I mean, I know that sounds shitty to do, but you can do it in the virtual world too. But I think I don't know how many touchdowns I had with you. I didn't win you the Heisman, but you were and I should have taken a picture of it. I just did it the other day over the break. You were the National Wide Receiver of the Year. So I know it doesn't mean jack shit, but thank you for being such awesome on EA college football. Ed, this has got to be the stupidest thing. Ed or Ben, do you have any final questions or comments for Luke Wysong?
Just, you know what, Luke, as a Lobo fan, I wish you would have stayed, but you know what? I wish you all the luck in Arizona with the rest of your college career. And, when I look at you, you kind of remind me of Cole Beasley a little bit, that slot receiver of that he's played for the Dallas Cowboys. So I wish you all the luck, man, and kill it over there in Arizona.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Once again, second team All Mountain West Conference. I don't have Beavis and Butt here. 69 receptions. Luke Wysong, we truly, I mean it. I'm very critical, and people hate me on my own show. You were a lot of fun to watch this year, man. It rejuvenated me. I'm excited for what's moving on with Lobo football. But you guys in that offense were so much fun to watch. I appreciate it. I think a lot of Lobo fans appreciate it. I wish I had not fallen asleep during the Washington State game, because if I wasn't going to the St. John's game the next day at the home of my Knicks, I would have been at the Washington State game, because I'm a big college football fan. So I'm going to shut up now. But thank you, man. Best of luck. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. And maybe we'll bug your uncle to see if you can join us, halfway or going into the season in Arizona next year. But best of luck to you, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, and thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, we will let you go. Now I'll bug your uncle. Luke, best of luck.
Thank you.
See you later, buddy.
Oh my God, look at what somebody said. Well said, Ryan. Luke was a lot of fun to watch. Ben, I just wanted your thoughts on that. Thanks for nabbing Luke for us.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just glad that he was able to come on and just, kind of not really say his piece, but just kind of give his version of it. So it was, really refreshing to hear from his side of it, because, I mean, I really hadn't asked him a whole lot about it. I mean, hey, he's a grown man now. Like, he makes his decisions and he does what he thinks is best for him. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of him for what he's done here with UNM. I feel like he's represented UNM to the very best of his ability, and I think he did a fantastic job of that. But I'm excited for his future too. I mean, hey, this is his one shot, to go play ball at a Power 4 level, and with the aspirations of playing in the NFL. And looking back, it's hey, he's done everything that he's he made set out for goals, here at UNM. I mean, hey, he, thrived with football. He graduated with his degree in business. So, I mean, he's done everything that he could do, within these 4 years. So, yeah, I'm just very proud of him, and I'm excited to see what he does next.
Ben, I'll end this show with you, but Ed's got to jump off. I just wanted your final thoughts on Luke. I thought it was a great conversation. I was happy to have him on.
No, you know what? Yes, it was a great conversation, and I think I really appreciate what he said about Coach Mendenhall. Mm-hmm. I may have had, I felt bad, not good about him, but I don't know the coach part about it. And I've coached basketball in the locker room. It's a whole different thing. I'm glad he said what he said, and he did learn a lot. And Bronco, he said, was a great mentor. But I wish him luck there. I do. I wish he would have stayed here. I can understand why he went there. I do. I get it. This is a totally different college athletic world, and we live in. And so, yeah, he's a Lobo to me. He'll always be a Lobo. He'll you played, Ben, and you're a Lobo. You come from a family of Lobos. 1 year as a Wildcat doesn't make him a Wildcat, but good luck to him. I think he'll do great out there. I really do. And it's a chance for him to broaden his horizons and his stock, because he has a chance. He's got a chance to play on Sundays, man. So from that standpoint, I wish him the luck. That's and that's a great interview, and I think he's a great young man. I really do. We talked to him in Las Vegas in June, or it might have been July, but he's a great young man. So I enjoyed it.
Ed, thank you for joining the show. Happy New Year.
Take care, man. Happy New Year, brother.
Thanks, Ed. Happy New Year, buddy.
It's very funny. There was a thing on there was a segment on ESPN College Game Day about, I don't know if you saw it. There was a guy, and he was called like Big Dog or something, and he painted the Georgia Bulldog at Georgia games. He painted it on his head, and I took a picture of it, and I don't have it up here, but they showed him and they showed the captions of him talking to one of the other fans that used to sit next to his brother who died. So they kept the tradition going.
Right.
And the guy said, your whole family is a bunch of damn good dogs.
That's
So
awesome.
once again, where I'm going with this, Ben, is I think a lot of what people would say your family is a bunch of damn good Lobos, but I've said it to you. My opinion doesn't matter. I was happy to talk to him. I think it's such a good move for him. I think he could probably find himself, with some NFL teams staying here. He got his degree. He's a UNM alumni. He's a UNM football alumni. I think this is a really good move for him. You could find yourself at the Pac-12, and I didn't even ask him about Noah Fafita. He's getting Noah Fafita back. I mean, he's got to be absolutely excited about that. I feel like an idiot not asking about that, but
well, I talked to him about him and Noah because I know when Luke went out there for his recruiting trip that Noah was with him at dinner, so those two got to sit down and really, just kind of talk things through and get to know each other. And, Luke was beyond impressed with him. And, it seemed like likewise with Noah. So I think already right there, I mean, heck, they haven't even started school yet. And it sounds like they got a pretty good relationship. And, I'm assuming at this point, I didn't ask Luke this, but you got to really think that would factor in as far as Luke's decision. Like, hey, you know what? We saw what Noah could do against us here at UNM and, game number 2. So, yeah. So as far as I know, he's an outstanding guy.
No, that's good to hear.
That's a great point.
No, I didn't. I can't believe I forgot to ask that. When I saw he was coming back, I was like, oh, I think I probably texted you and I was like, oh man, like
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, what school, you'd probably be incredibly excited to go play there.
Mhm. Well, I think that brings up a good point too, that he didn't really touch on either. And I meant to actually ask him, I forgot, but I think at Luke's standpoint, and maybe some fans need to realize too, is that, Luke's already gone through 2 head coaches now, and he's gone through 3 offensive coordinators. So, as far as the timing of it, I personally, just in my opinion, can't really think of a time that it's better for him to leave, and maybe venture on to something more like, a Power 4, especially after the season that he had. The other side of it too, and I'm glad that I think it was Eric that brought it up in the chat. This opens up the door now for Evan. We heard what Luke said about Evan, and I'm really excited to see what, he could do on the field. Hopefully he has a great spring and, he can showcase to this new coaching staff what he can do and what he brings to the table. Because Evan, this kid's a weapon, and I'm excited to see his potential, and hopefully we can see it on Saturdays next fall.
I don't know why I got to go to this comment. I can see a little steam coming from Ed's ears when the word Bronco is uttered. My guy isn't letting it go. You're the best. I don't know if he's still watching. Yeah, I'm happy he's on the show. I think I don't understand that. I understand being loyal, and you teach that. Look, you and I are both fathers, but I don't think you take advantage of the best. I don't think you, and especially he's family. You want to see what the best option was. I'm getting a little, disgruntled at. I think fans online. You have to remember and I get that the landscape has changed, but he got a college degree. Like, you go there for college. There are still players still graduating from college.
Like he got job number 1 done. Like in his plan, he got job number 1 done. Yes, he had the full ride scholarship, but he got the most important thing done, in my opinion.
And that's the college degree. That's
the college degree. Exactly. It doesn't matter what he did on the football field. He got the main thing done.
No, I told this joke a lot when I had the radio show, was that my mom thought she was giving birth to an offensive lineman. And, again, look at me. And now I'm fat in my own, I'm the most disproportionate fat, skinny guy now. I'm 5'8" when my hair's long, I wasn't a football player, and I loved the game so much in high school. I didn't play it. And I saw some friends get hurt. Right. So I didn't play. And I think I loved the game so much that I didn't play. I wish I probably would have loved to have been around the game more than just covering it. College football is my jam. I can't wait till 5:30 tomorrow night. I'm at work. I work remotely from home, and I was watching.
I can't wait either.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm watching Missouri, Iowa today.
Yeah.
But where was I going that with my point? My dad was a nerd, but it's in your family. Damn it. I lost my train of thought there on my point, but
I think as far as Luke doing what he had to do.
Oh here, but getting your college degree. Yeah. So he accomplished that. I don't know what Brett Brennan has in store there. It was a little bit of a rough year, but he obviously had to have liked that. Um, uh, I don't know. I'm happy for him, and I'm glad he was successful. And he still left a legacy at UNM. So, I mean, there's that too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, gosh, it's just hard to put into words because, just everything that, we got to see him go through, just from the family standpoint, just how hard he works every day and just how much he really enjoyed and loved being a Lobo. I wish that, the fans could have seen that a little bit more. I mean, Luke is a very private guy, he doesn't really like the spotlight that much. I think he's, finally getting more comfortable with it now that he's getting a little older, but I mean, he's such a humble kid, and I'm just thankful that we were able to get the 4 years out of him, and hey, I mean, let's think about it too. I mean, if he didn't redshirt, what was it, last year? I mean, heck, he could have been done, so, and that was something that Luke had to make, the decision himself pretty much. So, yeah, like I said, I'm proud of him, and, I hope he thrives down at Arizona. I think with them bringing in Coach Daggy, with that offense that he runs, I think he's going to do very well there. And, I'm on the flip side now, I'm excited to see Evan and see what he can do with this offense, with this new staff. So I think it's a great time, for Lobo fans. It's hard to see him go because, yes, you're losing a lot of guys, but we're also getting some guys coming up too.
I mean, eventually it's going to happen. It's still college football. Yeah. You saw some of the guys that had transferred in. Do you know anything about him, and what's your take?
Well, I know the coach's son is pretty good. So, I mean, I know, everyone says, oh, okay, coach's son, but the guy can play football. So, their quarterback, I mean, I was watching him against the Montana State game. I mean, yes, it was a rough game, but, the kid can wing it. And I know, talking with Evan, because he got to meet him when they were down on their visit, and, very impressed with the guy. So, I'm curious to see what else happens. I mean, I know the portal closed, but you still got a bunch of guys in there, and hopefully we'll get some more announcements here soon as far as guys coming in. And it's refreshing to see some of the guys that are sticking around. So that's awesome to see too. So I think they're going to be in good hands.
Do you know if you know the answer, why Evan stuck around?
But I think for Evan, the same thing like with Luke. I mean, he loves this. He loves, the fans here. He loves, representing his state. I mean, he's a homegrown kid. So, this is his opportunity to now thrive, because, depending on how you look at it, it could be one of those things where, hey, he's always going to be in the shadow of Luke in a sense. You can make the case like, well, as long as Luke here, Evan's not going to see the field as much. But, I don't think that's the case. But I think Evan now, in his sense, this is his opportunity now to become a leader and to, lead this team. He's not now behind the scenes. He's now front and center and wants to be part of like that group and be that leader to like, hey, we're going to turn around Lobo football. Because like Luke brought up, I mean, Evan was a quarterback all his life. So he has like that QB1 leadership mentality. And I think he can really bring that to the table with this team, starting in the spring.
No,
it's his show now.
Yeah, no, I mean, to play it somewhere like Cleveland where you learn all that, that's
yeah,
and win
exactly.
like that.
I mean,
you've done it. I don't care what level it's on. It might be high school, but you've won. You've done it.
Sure.
No, I thought that was a good conversation, Ben. Thank you for getting Luke on. I really, really appreciate that. Before about half an hour till kickoff of Monday Night Football, I have hammered.
It should be a good game.
Yeah, I hammered Lions minus. What did I do?
Yeah, what's the spread on this one?
It's 3.5. I hammered it at 3.5. So that hook will get me. I got to ask you about the Packer Viking game. I mean, it was kind of exciting. Your thoughts, because I know you're a big Packer fan.
Man, I thought they were going to complete the comeback. It was funny because I had my brother. He was here at the house last night. The one that just commented, Daniel. Because yeah, he's a big Packer fan too. So we were talking like, yeah, man, if it wasn't for Akers making that catch at the end, they had a shot, but Akers came in clutch on that fourth down. So I think it was a fourth down. Maybe it was third. But
it was. I would think it was third or fourth down. Yeah, it was a big play. It was a fun game to watch. So, I had no dog in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, for a while though, you're just thinking. I don't remember what the score was. I think it was 20-3. You're like, okay, this thing's over. Like it's done. So, but
I
yeah, I mean,
I think the Packers are a good team. I think the Vikings are good. I think Sam Darnold is, and everybody's talking about, oh, he's going to get paid. If I was the Vikings, I'd keep him.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, look where they're at now. And they're be playing for the divisional championship next week against Detroit. And those, preseason, I think they had Detroit, as a favorite to win it all. Between them and the Chiefs. So yeah, Sam Darnold. I mean, that guy's been playing lights out for that team, and I kind of always like compare it to like the movie Moneyball, where it's not always the guys that are making like the deep ball threat throws and all that stuff, and the big time plays. It's like, hey, can this guy get you first downs and sustain drives and get you down the field? Kind of like how you're like, hey, does this guy get on base? As Brad Pitt always
Right.
said, it's like, hey, this guy gets you on base. So, and he's a great leader.
That's how the game of baseball should be played. It's how you get on base.
I know.
About 48 hours away from maybe knowing who would win between Oregon and Ohio State. What are you most looking forward to in these games? I know I kind of got your thoughts last Friday after whatever the hell the quarterfinal was, but they get a week and a half. I mean, you got to be amped.
Yeah, I mean, especially being at the last one, which was a great experience, and I think from as an Ohio State fan, it's this redemption game in a sense. The way that it went down with, especially with Will Howard. He's trying to slide, to maybe preserve a second on the clock, and it's 1 second too late. So, and I think from Ohio State's standpoint with their defense, where I feel like Oregon was really like the one team that really exposed these guys. So I think it's going to be an opportunity for these guys to, second chance, and shut these guys down, because Oregon's offense is amazing. I actually really enjoy watching those guys play. So, yeah, it's going to be another battle. I mean, neutral field, Rose Bowl. I mean, it doesn't really go much better than that.
And it's your traditional Big Ten, Pac-A,
Yep.
whatever you want to call it.
How
I'm
it
looking
should
for
be.
yes, how it should be. So I'm glad
Yes.
the first quarterfinal, there it is. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's game. I guess I'll throw this out there in the world. I didn't do a graphic for it, but Lions -3. Being that it's about 20, 25 minutes till kickoff of Monday Night Football. Ben, I'm going to hit you with Bill Murray from Ghostbusters 2, which I know is a really nerdy thing to do.
Happy New Year.
I just love at the end. I call it the first one probably like every day of my life, but the second one, there's probably the song for the movie is better. It's Bobby Brown, but there's still some lines in Ghostbusters 2 that I can say. And Happy New Year is one of them.
Right.
Happy New Year to you. I appreciate you all the time for joining us. Thank you so much for all you've done for us this year. And like I said, I'm going to probably be bugging you through the Super Bowl, and then we'll have spring football, and we'll see what we can find out from the guys and how maybe not hidden Jason Eck is. I'm hoping that he will want people there.
Yeah.
So we shall find out.
Yeah, you're actually invited to the spring game.
Yeah, and you know what's going
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't make we've got the plans of the Death Star. We're invading Normandy anymore. So I was able to do that for a couple of months there. But Ben, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy holidays and Happy New Year to you as well. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and thank you to the fans too that chime in on the chat. It's always good to see you guys chiming in, and we try to answer your guys' questions the best that we can. And yeah, like I said, thank you guys. I'm looking forward to a fun 2025.
No, looking forward to it too. And I'm glad you're a part of this journey. And I went to your Twitter page to grab your Twitter handle because even though I've sent you links to the show, still don't remember your email address, but now it pops up in my Gmail, thank God. And I saw you added the Pit Press NM there, and I thought, oh man, he's really bought into it. So we appreciate it.
I love it. No, thank you guys. This has been awesome. So
Perfect.
I can't thank you guys enough for it.
Well, we can't thank you enough for joining us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, buddy.
All right. That was Ben Wysong. I'm going to wrap things up here. Appreciate him. Eric Markham, I'm going to go to the comments. Happy New Year, guys. Great show, Ryan. You killed it, man. Great job interviewing. Great questions. Don't tell the guys on Twitter, man. I butchered the opening of the show. I had no energy. I work a day job, and I try to prepare as much as I can. And again, we created this show for the fans. The Journal does what they want to do. I think Jeff Grammer's taking some pop shots at us. I'm fully aware of that. I don't care. They do their thing. We've had Sean Ryder on the show. They're always welcome on the show. I will talk shit about the afternoon show on 610 because that thing sucks. And again, this show is probably not every Lobo fan's cup of tea. I play devil's advocate with my entire life. question everything. I'm a cynical asshole. I get that. But if you don't want to listen to me, go to the podcast, which is what we're trying to do. Go to the podcast form. It's Eric, it's Rick, it's Nick Nunez. They are recapping and preview the games. If you like this show, and if you actually do like listening to me and you come on here and just like give me a hard time, I'm all for it. But if you're, and it's maybe a little bit of, I have thin skin, but when you're in this industry, you can't. If you're going to talk shit on Twitter and you don't respond, I am going to respond. I'm just saying that. Could I do a better job hosting the show? Could I be more prepared? Yes, I'm trying that. Again, I'm not making any excuses. I have a day job, which most of the time I'm able to work at from home, and I try to get things together. I would like to do this for a living. My background is print journalism. This is, and I don't want to say as much, but I do. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy hosting this show. I'm glad that there are people that do enjoy us. I think probably the only other place you're going to get as much Lobo talk is this show and the Journal. Jeff and JJ do a great job. Hell, JJ's the voice of the Lobos, and Jeff has a bowl game in that stadium. And sometimes the guys on 1017 who I do like, Adam Dill's a friend, love him. Eric Markham, I got to go to this question. Ryan, question for you, bud. My 2025 resolution is to say brother more. It's a joke. It's an inside joke. So, hey, brother, what is your game? What do you play? You look like a great ping pong player, maybe a good golfer. My handicap is the golf course, not good at ping pong. If I had stuck with it, already some natural talent there, and I'm not very good at a lot of things. It is the game of baseball. It really is. BT, very nice kid and truly humble. Good luck to him. In regards to Luke Wysong, agree. Awesome show as always. I appreciate that. 505 LU pin. Got to go back to that guy who said I have a I read at a third grade level. I wanted to react to that because have you read some of the comments on here? Wanted to go to Ronnie. Where was it? He's a Wildcat now. Let's get guys that are Lobos. With all due respect to Luke, he just left like Mendenhall did. Once again, that's his thing. I think what's forgotten in this, and I'm going to end it the last show of the year on this note. UNM is and I'm not PC with it. UNM is a institution of higher education. And I think that's forgotten. And there is somebody certain on Twitter that compared them to the Lakers. It is a institute of higher education. I got a degree from there. Ed got a degree from there. Rick got 2 degrees from there. Eric got a degree from there. Jacob has a degree from there. A lot of my friends got degrees from there. I think it's lost in translation, and I know that there is a lot of money in college athletics. I still love college athletics, so I'm probably a big hypocrite. Going off on a tangent, ESPN's coverage of Colorado was horrible. That team was funky. I will say this. Are they talented? Yeah. Are they good? I don't know. But I think I just like to remind people that, yeah, I know we cover UNM athletics, but it is a place of higher education. It was very pertinent into my family, and I'm very open with it. I struggled with math. My dad was an electrical engineer working on his PhD and wrote his own patent. I've mentioned that a lot on this show. People don't write their own patents so that gene skipped a generation. I hope my child is Rain Man. It's very scary. He's 7 going on 45. I do, as I end every show. I was told that I was also edgy on Twitter. This is just me. A majority of you are fans, and I'm driving this point home. You do not have the relationship or interaction with UNM like I did. I was a part of a cover-up. It was 15 years ago. Should I let it go? Probably. I was a college student. Had I been it's one of those things where I wish I knew now I wish I knew now what I know then. I'm butchering that. I wish I knew then what I know now. I would have treated it differently. Only one person is still there. The head coach is not there. So yeah, I've been a little jaded. But if you've listened to the show, you know that I liked the men's basketball team to win the conference. I like the Jason Eck hire. I'm just going to shoot you straight. I know it's a hindsight's 2020. I also said it on the show, broken record. Thought the Bronco Mendenhall hire was really weird. He just doesn't, I don't know. He doesn't really fit the culture of Albuquerque. I mean, I probably don't either. But you know, what we plan to do for 2025 is, I want to be a better host. I want you to, get as much, the listeners get as much Lobo content as you can. And I don't want to sugarcoat anything or not be fake or a fraud, because that's not what I'm trying to be. I'm probably more concerned with winning a bet than I am the Lobos winning or losing, or for that matter, the New York Giants winning or losing, or the New York Mets winning or losing. Sure, the Giants botched themselves out of a number 1 pick yesterday. I woke up this morning. It didn't affect my life. That's how I've approached things as I've gotten older with watching sports. I still watch intently. I still watch as much as I can. I like the history of things. So that's my forte. I'm not coming on here to give hot take. Really, that's not it. I would like Lobos of the past, and when the media department, Lobos of the present, will allow UNM athletes on, I'd appreciate it. But I think there's been a place lost for UNM athletics for those that have played. And I think Ed and I have tried to done that. Again, I'm on a ramble and a tangent because I guess I should embrace it, and that's what I do best. I want to hear the full story detail, Ryan. Love me some Pit Press. Agree. Love the show as always. I just want any plans on catching the Winter Classic on Wednesday, Chicago and St. Louis. I do love me some hockey. With that note, we're about 15 minutes away from Monday Night Football. We will talk to you not Wednesday. Should be doing a show this Friday with the holidays. It's been wonky, but we definitely want to do one on Monday. I want to thank Ned James. I want to thank Ben Wysong, and I definitely want to thank Luke Weong for joining us. People are acting like they wouldn't dip out the second they see a remotely fatter check from a different school. It seriously sucks to see him go. But yeah, I understand. I mentioned that earlier. I understand that you probably want to see people be loyal. But why do you go to college? It's to better yourselves. What's not wrong with going to UNM and bettering yourself and moving on? That's the way I see it. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. Please don't do anything that I would do, that I would used to do. And a happy new year. And I can't believe, I can. I'm going to love making this joke. Talk to you next year. Everybody have a good one. Have a safe and happy New Year's Eve and a New Year's Day.